Conspiracy theories are nothing new. They range from topics like JFK, Princess Diana, the death of Elvis Presley, Roswell, New Mexico, and of course 9/11. In fact, the 9/11 conspiracy theories have the largest following of believers, with over 628,000 websites dedicated to the subject and over 3,000 books on the topic. In some circles, the truth about that day remains under heavy scrutiny and doubt. So even after 12 years, what has so many people still speculating? September 11th, 2001, one of the most tragic days in U.S. history, as over 3,000 people lost their lives on American soil.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way!
What happened that day is well documented, but not everyone is a believer.
I don't understand who did 9/11. I think I've done a pretty good job of wrapping my mind around at least what Ground Zero was. I don't know who did it. I do know that our government has ignored much evidence that disproves or at least calls into question the government's theory of what happened that day. Why they do it, I don't know. I've spent years trying to confront them with the information that contradicts what they're claiming and saying, explain this, and I get ignored.
Dave is the founder of 911u.org, a simple but very complex website that explores a different side of 9/11. He's also behind another site, 911blimp.net.
If you have a theory that all rabbits are white, you don't need a better theory to disprove that theory. All you need is a single brown rabbit. And so there's more than one brown rabbit with respect to 9/11.
So let's start with the first brown rabbit, video of the first tower being struck.
Just a split second before the intersection of that aircraft and the tower's wall, there was an incredibly bright and brief burst of light that suggested that there was more going on than met the eye, at least if you didn't notice that burst of light. And I believe the towers were actively failed in real time, all the way down, stage by stage.
Dave is not alone in his beliefs about the towers coming down. This is a clip of firefighters from the movie Loose Change.
It was like the house in the wars and there was nobody in. What do we do? We made it outside. We made it about a block.
We made it at least two blocks, and we started running. Floor by floor, it started popping out.
It was if they had detonated.
Detonated.
They were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down. I was watching it and running. Just ran up West Street. And then you just sort of, this cloud of chasing you down.
Couldn't outrun it.
West Street.
Think about it. The government claims that gravity brought the towers down through the path of maximum resistance, through all these supposedly undamaged lower stories. And yet on page 305 of the Commission's report, it says that the South Tower collapsed in 10 seconds. Gives no time for the other tower. But keep in mind, free fall from that height, zero resistance is 9.2 seconds. That's in a vacuum. Air resistance is going to make something take 10 seconds to fall.
Several scientists refute any notion of a controlled demolition, saying the collapse was a result of the planes hitting the towers.
On July 28, 1945, a B-52 bomber lost in the fog crashed into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building.
Naysayers point to the fact that no steel structure had ever collapsed due to just fire.
But the building stands intact to this day. On October 17, 2004, a 56-story skyscraper in Venezuela, built in 1976, burned for over 17 hours and spread over 26 floors, eventually reaching the roof. Guess what? It did not collapse. On February 12, 2005, the Windsor Building in Madrid, a 32-story tower framed in steel-reinforced concrete, burned for almost 24 hours, completely eradicating the upper 10 stories of the building. Although the top 10 floors of the building fell, the building itself did not collapse.
There were explosions in the towers. Actually, at the same instant that whatever it was flew into the tower wall a quarter mile above street level, there were explosions going on in the basement, things taking out entire floors. That's also never been discussed. So, it proves lying by omission on the part of the government.
Chief Albert Turry he received word of the possibility of a secondary device, that is another bomb going off. There was another explosion that took place in one of the towers here. He thinks that there were actually devices that were planted in the building.
When a big explosion happened.
Tell us what's happening out there.
Oh my
We just
gosh.
witnessed some kind of secondary follow-up explosion on the World Trade Center #2, the one.
Secondary.
Do you know if it was an explosion or if it was a building collapse?
To me, it sounded like an explosion.
When I try to save people, the moment we heard a big explosion coming down, everything just went black.
Federal agencies that were down there do believe that there was some sort of explosive device somewhere else besides the planes hitting.
Witnesses from inside the towers have mentioned basement explosions in the past.
And all of a sudden we hear boom! I thought it was a generator that blew up on the basement. And I said to myself, oh my God, I think it's a generator. And I was going to verbalize it. When I finished saying that in my mind, I hear boom! Right on the top, pretty far away. So it was a difference between coming from the basement and coming from the top. And that's, everybody started screaming. And a person comes running into the office saying, explosion, explosion, explosion.
Another spot of contention, Dave points to a video that shows puffs of smoke or explosions in the towers before their collapse.
Because here we can see with our own eyes video of multiple explosions, plural, widespread, 200 feet apart, going off in one tower, at the same instant that oversized Hollywood perfect fireball erupts from the other tower. But what it demonstrates is that the government did not tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about 9/11, because the 9/11 Commission report is searchable on the web. It's downloadable as a PDF file. It only takes a second to do a word search for the word explosions and see that it appears precisely 0 times.
According to non-believers, another piece that doesn't fit the big picture is what happened at the Pentagon.
Why is there absolutely no trace of Flight 77?
From my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual site of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand.
The Pentagon is very intriguing because a lot of people insist that because they saw video of what looked like airplanes flying into towers, that they know that airplanes, and so anybody who disagrees with that must be a screwball. And the fact that there weren't wings or an airplane laying there at the base of the Pentagon suggests that it doesn't add up. But people saw video. They love those videos, which is why I love the Pentagon. Because the only video of whatever supposedly flew into the Pentagon came from the government itself. The still images were released in 2002, on March 7th, I believe.
Surveillance cameras from a gas station, Sheraton Hotel, and the Virginia Department of Transportation captured the entire thing. However, the FBI was there within minutes to confiscate the tapes, including a warning for the employees not to discuss what they had seen. If the government wishes to prove once and for all that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon, all they would have to do is release one of those tapes.
Different 9/11 theories cite different pieces of evidence, but one event where several theories unite is what's referred to as the smoking gun, the collapse of Tower 7.
Official explanation: falling debris from the Twin Towers created an internal fire, which ignited several fuel tanks inside the building. If this is true, then it would be the third building in history to collapse because of a fire. The first two would be the Twin Towers.
So a couple quick notes. Dave receives no money from his website, and you won't find any advertisements. Now, in 2005, Popular Mechanics looked into the topic of 9/11 conspiracy theories. That article received over 7.5 million hits and is the most widely read story in the history of Popular Mechanics.